Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration, so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you all to Smart Women Talk. Today, I will be speaking with decluttering expert Chantal Rouleau. We're going to be talking about how to have fun decluttering. We're going to talk about how to get started in the decluttering process, how our emotions play an important role, and then some strategies to overcome the sense of overwhelm and frustration that you face when you are going through that process. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Family time was everything when Chantal Rouleau was growing up with a typically French Canadian family in Montreal, Quebec. Due to life circumstances, Chantal had to move often and attended 9 different schools by the end of high school. From a very early age, she had to learn not to get too attached to her things because her family moves many times. It was just easier to have less. Although she loved beautiful things, those experiences made her realize at a very young age that things didn't make her happy, people did. Chantal, I'm so excited to have you here. When I was reading your bio for the very first time, I thought, oh my God, I had a similar experience because my dad was in the military. And I was an Army brat. I had kindergarten in Germany. Then we moved to Washington State for first grade, and he died. And I went to 3 schools for first grade and then a private school for second grade. And then that continued a bit. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that experience and how that led you into this work, because I love how our early experiences, can create our mission in life. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and having this discussion, which is on the mind of many people now. A lot of times when people hear my bio, they say, oh, my life was just the same. But instead, I held on to my things because they were the only thing I had. Either my parents divorced or different life circumstances. So their things became their power, their safety. And for me, I don't know. I think I had some heavenly help or something, because I just realized how important the people in my life were. And like you say, I mentioned in my bio, I love a pretty home. I love pretty things and all that. But to what extent do we hold on to those things? Like, when you move to your next home, a lot of people around our age, in 50, 60, we're downsizing. We're moving into a smaller home. The kids are finally outside the home. And it's time to really see where your life is at right now. For example, I used to have skis when I was 17. Now I don't ski as often. When I go skiing, I rent a pair. So it's seeing all those things, and less is more has that really strong power, because we don't need as much things as we think we do. I always joke around, how many spatulas do you need?
Right.
Right?
That's interesting because you mentioned that you had the skis when you were doing it a lot. But then at this point in your life, you don't ski that much, so you rent the skis. How many people have not only their skis, but their children's skis all in the garage in a corner, or maybe up in an attic now, or even in a storage center? What is that all about?
I think we're holding on to the memories. And that's what we remember, the good times when we went out as a family. And I think the first thing about decluttering is checking in with our emotions. Where are we at? Where are the kids? And that's one thing about, the kids after they move, come and get your stuff, right? Mama and daddy's house is not a storage space, And there's different circumstances, of course, if they're only in university or, they're not quite set. We all have a different, but it's really check in. Like, it's setting those boundaries with our grown children. It's like, hey, I still have like 20 of your tote boxes. You moved into this beautiful home, and my home is still cluttered by your stuff. So it's all about balance. We long for balance in our life, and we forget how we evolved in our lives also. If you're in your 50s or your 60s, your life is different now. Maybe you want to go into that art project and you want to make little Samantha's room as your art room, but you feel so guilty because in case Samantha comes back.
Well, you've seen, like I've seen this in movies quite often, where they come back to the family home and the child is now 40 years old, even 50 years old, and they walk into their room and it's like a time capsule. And it's still the twin bed with the, frilly thing, or if it's a boy, there's a model airplane, and the parents never change the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is, to me, I was also brought up with a lot of guilt. What if you hurt somebody's feelings? When you think about it, you're the one who owns the house, your husband and yourself. Now your life is the two of you. And I guess I'm talking to, midlife time of our lives, that our lives is changing now. And own up that space. Get that space that nurture your soul. We forget about ourselves for the first 20 years of our children's life. We're dedicated being parents. We go to all these sports, all these events. And now our lives at one point switch. And we tend to forget about who we are because we forgot all these years. And it's okay. We all did that as parents. And now we may be taking care of our older parents too. So that's another thing, if you have a parent living with you, is your house safe for them to walk around with their walkers? Your life has shifted now. All these things, sometimes we forget that, I have to make myself or my home comfortable and inviting and peaceful. And also, it's not about me going into someone's house and say, oh, you should organize your house like this. Organizing your house on how your lifestyle is. I think that the whole movement of decluttering and organizing, and I'm not going to name any names, but they show you these beautiful rooms with pretty baskets and jars with beautiful labels. Does that fit into your house? And sometimes you can't even move into your house. So seeing those pictures could be very overwhelming. And you would say to yourself, why would I start? Where would I start?
You had mentioned something that I really thought about. You said that our homes, are a sacred space, and that our homes are not storage units. But I'm thinking about the closets that I have. I still have big walk-in closets for the kids' rooms. That's how we built it. And there are a lot of things in there. And then when you go out to the garage, my kids have left a lot of their furniture that maybe when they have a bigger house, they're asking, can you please save that for me? But then the attic. And that's where I think all the moms, we save all their little schoolwork and their projects. And I'm saving letters that my great aunts wrote back to each other. I had an aunt in Canada and one out west. And they were both from Canada, by the way. And I have all the letters they sent, and then my mother and father's letters. So it's hard to draw the line. And then some of us actually have storage units on top of it. And that's very heavy to me, because that would make me overwhelmed to have a storage unit on top of having things here. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I love what you said. It makes you feel heavy.
Yeah.
So is that the feeling that you want to live with, right? And it's graduated. You got to do a little bit at a time. A great teacher of mine, she says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But my visual always goes to, why in the heck would you eat an elephant? But
right.
It's a metaphor, right? And when you start this process, I suggest that you don't start with those big, heavy emotions. Start with little things like your makeup in the bathroom. Some of them have makeup from, 6 years ago, or how many shampoos and conditioners we have in the bathroom, or what's under your kitchen sink. Once you start with all those little things, those little non-emotional space, you start building that muscle, and it's like, oh, okay, now I can do my closets. Ooh, I like this. And a lot of us too, we keep thin clothes just in case we lose that extra weight, right? And it's fine. I mean, we all love clothes and beautiful things, but sometimes we forget how it makes us feel. I know for myself, recently, I just threw out all my thin clothes because every summer I was realizing that I was doing some really negative self-thought to myself. And I'm sure that happens to many of us. You still haven't lost that weight. Oh, it's just 20 pounds. Why can't you do that? And I was realizing what was going on in my head, and it's like, no, I don't like that. So I got rid of it though. And it just feels better. It feels freer. It's like it's like loving myself where I am today. And it's just like in your home, start with where you are today. Don't compare yourself to the neighbor. Don't compare yourself to all these beautiful magazines you look at. Just start where you are.
Yes, because we can really get tough on ourselves and start judging ourselves. And then that again brings our energy down. And then that may even stop us from doing anything. It may just freeze us.
Oh, definitely. You're just like a deer with the headlights, right? I always say to my clients, do 15 minutes a day. And they look at me like, 15 minutes a day? What am I going to achieve? Well, realize that at the end of the week, you'll have all this time accumulated into, and it could be, that junk drawer in the kitchen. How many items you say, who put that there kind of items, right? And some of them, it becomes a closet, or it becomes
There's
this,
a
or
drawer.
it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then it's in a living space. And just yesterday, actually, I had a lovely email from a client. She says, I just took everything out of my bedroom. I moved my dresser around, and I put my light beside my bed, and I had such a great sleep. And I don't know about you, but when I was young, I thought sleeping was useless. I thought, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I had all kinds of energy. Now I love sleeping. And our sleep is so important to our health.
Yeah.
And our clutter affects our mental health. And as everyone knows, our mental health is at a level that we need to do something about it.
Marcy Shimoff, she's talked about this, and I think Deborah Poneman, but this idea that everything is energy. Yeah. And so when we have all this stuff, and some of it we have, like you said, emotional attachment to, is that really just because it's here, is it affecting us? And if we could release it in a very positive way, can that really change our energy? So can we talk about that?
Oh, definitely. I'm a very spiritual person, and I know that if things are out of order, for me, it's affecting me. I remember even my kids, they didn't know anything about energy. And when they had the habit of putting their toys away at night, but once in a while I would go through, I would make sure all the Legos were together and so forth. And then I could feel their energy. They were calmer the day after going back into their playroom. It's like, oh, we didn't see that. Oh, here's my truck, There's an energy to it, whether you believe it or not. And when that clutter is not, like, some people have their kitchen table full of stuff, either papers, or some people now that we work from home, some people will use their kitchen table as their office, but like one of my clients, for example, she says, oh, I love creating. I love painting, and I love doing arts and crafts, but By the time I get to it, by the time I clear my kitchen table, I'm exhausted. I just want to sit in front of the TV with a coffee and a bag of chips. So
Yes.
and that's very normal. We get overwhelmed. So create that space. Just create that little space. What's important to you today? Is arts, creating, painting. And when I say creating, it could be cooking. We create when we cook. Is your kitchen, does it make you feel like soft and at ease? And like the word you say, I really like that. When you wonder if it's clutter or not, does it make you feel heavy or light? Because some people are happy in their clutter. Some people, I actually was just speaking to someone last week, and she says, I love seeing all my stuff around.
I have
I
a friend like
find
that too. Yeah.
Pardon me?
And I have a friend that's exactly like it. All these little, things all over the place. And, can you imagine trying to clean that though, and to clean all the little items because they're not even in a cabinet, but it does bring her joy. But it seems like it would have energy, right? And all those things have emotional attachment. And then it also adds to work, unless that's your hobby.
Yeah. And that's another thing. How long does it take you to clean your house? If you have to move all this stuff, if you get to swirl around the piles of stuff in your house, I like to give myself about 10, 15 minutes to clean my house. I don't like cleaning that much. I like to make it easy.
What is the most important part of the decluttering process? Do you want to start there?
Yes. So the most important, like I say, see where you can start. So what's important to you? And if you say, oh, this is overwhelming, you don't see my house, I just don't know where to start. Like I say, the time is take 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
That's all. And don't go for the photographs or your mother's china or your great aunt's cuckoo clock that driving everybody crazy in the house. Just start with things that do not have a charge, like don't have any emotions. Another thing too, that's one of my clients was working on. She says, I got rid of 3 vacuum cleaners that were broken. My husband promised to fix them. They have a brand new one, a microwave that they no longer use. All these appliances that were broken or they weren't using. And there's places to get rid of them. We're not just dumping in a landfill. And that's another thing people have. Oh, they're attached to very, rightfully so. We're very aware of filling the landfill now. And there's so many programs with recycling. Actually, I came upon a really good one. It's called buynothingproject.org. And you just donate, and it's actually worldwide. And it depends where you are. I'm in Ontario, Canada. So there's Free Cycle, there's Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes we'd like to have a little bit of money for our stuff that's worth something. And that's another thing too, is we look at an item and we say, yeah, but I paid so much money for it. And, there's other ways to do it. Give it to a friend that could use it. Give it to your neighbor. Give it to some woman's shelter. There's so many ways. In the last year, I learned giving is actually a very selfish thing. I never thought of it that way, because when we give, it makes us feel good. Mm-hmm. And how beautiful of a world we can create by just giving stuff that's just laying around. Maybe there is another beautiful family that would love to have those skis that are in your attic or in your garage, and you can give them the experience of having that family time that so many of us are go, 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 and we don't have that time with our family, our children. And what a gift that would be.
So what about, is it good to hire someone to come help you, or should we try to do it on our own? What do you suggest there?
Well, what happens when you have somebody helping you is they don't have the emotions attached to it. So they can almost help you reason a little bit by asking you different questions. I always say, do you love it? Do you use it? Do you have space for it? And is it fitting your lifestyle now? We hear a lot of the two first ones. Do you love it and do you use it? But I always say, whenever I buy something, I hold on to it and I almost close my eyes without looking weird in the store. And I go, where is it going to go? I always visually look at the space in my home where I'm going to put this thing. And if I don't have the room, the space for it, I don't buy it. A girlfriend of mine gave me this bowl the other day, and she was so happy to give me this bowl that fit with my kitchen set and all that. And I looked at it and I had this blank look on my face. And she started laughing because she knows me very well. And she says, if you don't have the space for it, I'll take it back. And we burst out laughing because she knows me so well. And that's exactly where my mind went, right? It was a beautiful bowl and all that. But how many of those serving bowls? Sometimes we have stack over here and some on top of the cupboards collecting dust. Is that making your home beautiful? And sometimes they're all beautiful. You love them all, but you don't have that space.
I'm just thinking about it too. I love that. Do you love it? Do you use it? And this could be for clothing. This can definitely be for things in your kitchen, because I think that's where we collect a lot of stuff. But do you love it? Do you use it? Do you have space for it? Right? That's really important. And then is it fitting your lifestyle right now? I love those 4 tips. So I think it would be fun. I have so many things here that are from my grandmother and my great aunt. And I've been saving them, 2 china cabinets full and a great big cedar chest with all these linens and things that Aunt Madge made while she was in the sanitarium with TB of the bone, before antibiotics came out. So that tells you how old these items are that she made. And I'm saving them for my daughters. And I'm thinking, you know what? I also have a lot of nieces that I should probably just start packing some of these things up and do kind of a surprise to them with a little note, maybe some pictures of their great aunt, and get the stuff moving now so people can enjoy it. I know a lot of people wait till they're dead to pass on things, but I'm even thinking I don't really need my wedding rings right now. I was thinking I would love to give those to my daughters while I'm living, and then just get a plain old gold band for myself. I mean, to see them enjoy them, because I've enjoyed so many things during my life. But what do you think about giving things away to family and even friends or other relatives early and seeing them enjoy?
I so love your question. That is because, like you say, how beautiful it is to experience that moment that you give it to the person you think is going to appreciate. And I've heard people saying, we're just going to have a big party and you guys pick whoever wants to pick whatever, and whoever doesn't want, the rest goes to Goodwill or something like that. And like you say, you're talking very cherished item here. So I think that would be beautiful to do that. And on the other side too, sometimes we keep some items for our children, and you ask them and they go, Mom, I don't want that stuff.
Boy, it's better to find out now, right?
Exactly. And I'm sure you've heard of the Swedish decluttering system. So you do this work before something happens to you. So you don't want to leave all this burden to your children, right, or to your siblings or whoever's going to take care of your affairs. First of all, I want my stuff to go to the right people. 2 years ago, I went through breast cancer and I made everything in order. And I said to my son, all my art goes to Julie and all my this goes to here. And so they didn't have to get into this emotion. Oh, mom really loved this. I better find a good place. Like, people that are left behind are going through so much turmoil and grief that they don't need to go through that. If we put ourselves in that mindset, sometimes it's like, oh, okay.
You mentioned that about getting sick and then thinking of doing that. But what happens to us when we get older is at some point we may need to downsize, whether that's a smaller one-floor home or it to a family member, or maybe assisted living, where you take a whole life worth of things and you have to bring it down to one room. So I think that's a great idea, to start downsizing, decluttering your life. So when you get to that later point where you may have to downsize, or you're going to pass, that you don't pass on a mess.
Exactly. And when people say, when do I start? Start today, and put it in your schedule. Put that 15 minutes on your calendar right now, and just as you would with a doctor's appointment, and show up for yourself. And you'll see how once you start moving that energy and you start building those emotional muscles, you'll get to the pictures. And the pictures, it's a great way to have a family reunion. My grandmother, I had great times with her going through our family pictures. And I put my phone on recording, and she was telling me stories about each one of them. And I still have that recording. I had the best grandmother ever. And like, what wonderful memories.
I wish I had been able to do that. That is brilliant. There's a website, legacystories.org, and they have an app where you use the phone and you ask, they do that exact exercise.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, because even people with memory issues, that'll be able to trigger a lot of memories.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we're at the top of the hour here, and I'm just wondering, Chantal, what would be your last tip for our guests? Because I love the idea of, do you love it? Do you use it? Do you have space for it? And then is it fitting into your life now? And then I love the idea. Second tip is start with just 15 minutes. Put it in your calendar every day. I'm going to do that.
Wonderful. I'm so happy. And my last tip is have self-compassion. When you start this, you get too overwhelming, stop and make the appointment tomorrow again. And my goal, because I love having fun, that inner child inside of us, it just is hungry to come up and to play. Make it a play. Put good music on. I always say Rod Stewart, but I love
that's a great idea.
Start dancing and declutter one drawer or one shelf at a time. And just have
Absolutely.
fun. It doesn't matter what age you're at. We change, so your home should change. So just really, really nurture yourself through this process and have fun.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chantal, so much. If someone wants to connect with you, how would you like them to do that? Because I know you do private consultations, and I think you do it virtually too.
Yes, I do. So you can simply go on my private Facebook page. The page is Chantal.Rouleau, Rouleau, and you can find me there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom in such a beautiful and calm way. I loved it.
Thank you so much, and have fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you so much for joining Smart Women Talk. Be sure to come join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com. You'll get our newsletter. You'll know who our guests are. We always have all kinds of great resources and events going on. And until the next time, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.